Hi, this is Joseph Williams, son of John Williams, and you are watching the Nerfherder Council.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Nerfherder Council. I am your host, JT. With me are AJ and Steve. We are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. If you would like to grab some free, well, not free, but, it'll cost you just a little bit, but it's close to free. It's very inexpensive. Some customized Nerfherder Council swag. Just log on to shop.nerfherdercouncil.com and you can customize almost anything and you will look great doing it. So tonight's episode, we are bringing on a very good friend of AJ's and mine. Steve, this will be the first time you've met him, but you have heard about him.
Absolutely.
We've mentioned him many times on the show. And there is a reason that the three of us are wearing Browns gear, because our buddy is from Baltimore, and he's a little bit of a Ravens fan, a little bit of an Orioles fan, So, but
hey, baseball wise, he's in the same boat as our trash can team now, huh?
No, we're in first place. He's not, so he can suck it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, third best
I had to
record in
check
the
on that
American
today.
League, baby. Yeah,
Wow.
It's crazy,
Okay,
right?
well.
6-4. We're really crushing it.
Yeah. So we do have a topic for tonight, and this is a guy, if you've followed the show for a bit, he likes to troll me in the comments section, specifically about The Force Awakens. So we are going to talk about that, but before we do that, we want to bring him on. This is a very, very incredible friend of AJ's and my. It's probably our best Star Wars buddy that does not live in Cleveland. His name is Mark Thrasher, and he is from Baltimore, Maryland. Mark, what is going on, my brother?
What's going on, guys?
So
Good to
first,
see you, JT, AJ. Nice to meet you,
Great.
Steve.
Nice to meet you too, man.
all right, so let's get right to it. So we met you at Celebration. So before we get to how we met, let's just throw your fan cred out there immediately. Over your shoulder is an actual poster you brought home from Celebration 1. You have been to every celebration but one. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
That's correct.
Yes.
Episode or Celebration 7.
Yes.
Did not do.
And you were almost coming because we were putting you up. You just couldn't make it. It's kind of a last minute thing that you weren't able to be there.
That is correct.
Very
Yep.
close.
Our both my brother and myself, we were both having daughters that year, so it was a bit of a challenge to get out there. So unfortunately, we had to pass.
Well, look at the Browns fans would be there, but of course Ravens fans, But anyway, so all right, so we're gonna tell the story here. Steve, I think has heard this, but
Oh man,
Drop his feed.
yeah,
Project
see,
doing it solo.
yeah. I'm bringing up my autogram jersey, my Clay Matthews.
I can't even look at it.
how many Super Bowls did they get you? I
We have
lost
eight-
count.
We have
How
8
many
world
felonies
titles.
did they get you?
Oh!
Wait, that's right.
The white coat. All right, so now let's discuss how we met, because it literally was over football. And AJ, jump in when you want. Mark, jump in when you want. Steve, ask questions if you want. But AJ and I went to what was called a mixer after, I think it was like the Friday. I think it was like Friday. That's what they called it. They called it a fan mixer, and it was on like the second floor of the Orlando Convention Center.
Was
And
the
AJ and I-
Catalina
Mixing
wine
all right.
mixer?
Yes, yeah, Steve, the F and Star Wars Catalina wine mixer.
Celebration 5 in Orlando.
Yeah, it was 11 years ago, man. Celebration 5 in Orlando. And AJ was living down in Florida at the time, at Tampa, right? AJ, and
Yep.
so you were like 2 hours, out. And it was after the convention, and we went up to this fan mixer thing. AJ and I are sitting at a table, and we started talking about the Browns, and all of a sudden behind me, I hear, "Oh, the Browns." And I turned around, and I was like, well, yeah, who you like? He goes, "Ravens, baby." I was like, oh, God. There's only 3 of us at the table, and one of them has to be one of these guys. Like, so, I mean, is that how you remember it, Mark and AJ? Like, I mean.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's right away when I heard Cleveland Browns, I'm like, oh yes, opportunity, and then right from there is when we kind of just hit it off, and yeah, obviously there was a lot more to that night, but that's kind of how it kicked off, and there's always been that little bit of competition between us, and
Yeah.
But there's always been that mutual love for Star Wars, so it's kind of like, it all works out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I recall, we met over football, but we bonded over Bacardi.
Yes.
That
Yeah,
was, we had a handle in the car, right?
Yeah, because he was Mark was there with his brother Chris, and Chris's not fiance at the time, but future
And that's
fiance, now wife, and everything. Yeah, Andrea. And so they eventually came over as we're busting up, busting each other's nuts about football, and then we start talking Star Wars. And AJ, had driven from Tampa, and this was the first one we've been to, so we didn't know to stay on site. So he had his car in the parking lot. We had bought like an actual handle of Bacardi, like the giant bottle, because we were like, we don't want to pay convention prices.
Right.
So we were talking, and the drinks were I think like $8 or $10 at this mixer thing.
Yeah.
And AJ and I finally like, hey, we got some Bacardi in the car. You guys want to? They're like, yeah. So we go outside, and it's like where most people do that to go like smoke a joint or something. Like ours is a bottle of Bacardi.
Kids, right?
Yeah. And so I mean, do you guys any of you guys want to guess how much was left at the end of that night, like before we left the convention center?
I'm gonna guess 0.
Yeah.
You'd be correct.
None.
Yeah. 5 of us finished a handle in
It was like 15 or 20 minutes.
Oh, it was bad. It was like we went out I think a total of 3 times that we're just going. And man, we have
The cool thing is that we had already established that, the sports and the love for Star Wars. Now we're out in the car. We don't really know each other that well. We're sharing this bottle of booze, and we're like, man. And I'm just looking around like, these could be my next best friends. And I was like, wow. And so, yeah, we were going, passing the bottle around, and it was wild. I couldn't believe it,
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just looking at the two of you guys thinking, man, if they just weren't Browns fans, I might actually like these guys.
Exactly, Steve. I was like, how am I going to be friends with these guys from Cleveland? I mean, they probably already hate my guts along with
right?
Nell.
Like, yeah, but they gave me the free booze, so we're going to work with this for the night. Never going to talk to these assholes again anyway.
Yeah.
Cheers, Mark.
Yeah.
Here's up, mate.
We were outnumbered, so But yeah, I mean, the long story short was, we hung out. The rest of that celebration, we met up and stuff, and then we exchanged numbers, and we literally have kept in touch ever since.
Mm-hmm.
And like we met up at all the other celebrations except for the one you couldn't make, due to having your daughter and stuff like that. And I mean, it was seriously one of those weird things where you figure just like, yeah, you're getting drunk talking football, but it really has become like friends to the point where again, we're doing this tonight because you've been busting my ass about The Force Awakens, where you keep trolling me in the comments of other shows. So finally, I'm like, you know what? Let's get this guy on here. Like, enough is enough. So, I mean, we did hunt. I mean, you even wanted to mention Chicago, like in 19, right? You wanted to.
Hey, if you guys want to talk about Chicago, I don't know if you have enough time, but I'm more than willing to talk about it because that was a fantastic time. You know what? And thanks for inviting me out to it. You guys really hooked me up, and I was able to make the drive out there. And you showed me these cool restaurants. What was that pizza place called?
Pisano's.
Yeah, Pisano's.
Exactly. Yeah.
Deep dish pizza where the crust was not crust, it was Italian sausage. That is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy. Let me just put it that way.
And it was basically a whole iron wrought pan full of sauce, and I was like, what in the world is this? But it was so good. And there was there was writing all over the walls, and I'm like, good God, what's going on here? But man, that was just one night. But
yeah, we took you to Pisano's, we took you to Gino's. That was. Yeah, that was, dude. It was like we did everything because like you were staying with us, so we got to finally like. I mean, God, that one night, which is where actually this is a conversation we had drunk off our asses in the lobby of the hotel. That it was a great discussion. And so we're like, well, let's revisit it on the show. But like we went down there we went to the hotel lobby with, a bottle of rum, a bottle of Johnny Red, Star Wars Trivial Pursuit. And then we just started arguing about The Force Awakens. Like, after lightsaber battling and, all this other stuff. Like,
yes. So I'm going through all these pictures in my phone. I haven't deleted them or transferred them. So they're still in there. and you were lightsaber battling, and it was like 4 a.m.
Yep.
And I got a couple pictures. AJ, you're
Somewhere
drinking.
I've got like an 8-minute video of that thing. Oh my god!
You have like a bottle of red wine that you're just drinking like it's a glass.
Oh, that wasn't red wine.
I
no.
say, I don't do wine.
That
was
AJ,
rum.
Yeah, that was rum and coke.
I'll find the picture.
That sounds more logical.
But it was wild, man. We were having the Johnny Red. Oh wow, it was wild.
Yeah. Don't forget, you went like in true Baltimore fashion. You partied out before the Clevelanders, and AJ and I, let's just say, we ended up like damn near halfway across the city that night at another party, and decided it got a little douchey for us. And we're like, yeah, this is probably not our scene. So we took off, and we're sliding down escalators. We woke up like so bruised, we had no idea what the hell happened. And AJ had gone through an entire bottle of was it Kraken? Kraken,
Yep,
yeah.
It's always Kraken.
So,
Maybe that's what it was then.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was cracking, all right, because he was cracking up. So
I'm cruising for a bruising when I'm back in the Kraken.
nice. There we go. All right, you got a fan there, Thrasher. Good man,
All
Mark
right.
Thrasher. There you go.
My buddy. What's up, Josh?
Nice.
So
All right.
far with this guy. He's a good guy.
That's awesome, man. That's
Yep,
awesome.
yep.
See, all we got to do to get up past 23 listeners is have Mark on, and we'll get about 28 or 29. So there you go.
Hey,
All right,
every
so-
little
Bad
bit
sign
helps.
when your guests are more popular than your hosts, by the way. Just saying.
Hey, I'm a whore for publicity, man. What can I say?
Yeah, whatever works.
All right, so let's get into this. So the crux of the argument is, all right, we're going to talk about The Force Awakens, and we've never really truly delved into it on this level, Steve, AJ, and I, because we've tried to avoid this. I think it is a complete ripoff of Episode 4. It is my least favorite Star Wars movie. I still love it because all Star Wars movies are really, really fun. But I think it's a ripoff of Episode 4 after the first 40 minutes. And you, Mark, completely disagree. You just think it's phenomenal. So all right, start out and explain why this is so great to you and you are so opposed to my viewpoint.
All right. So without getting into too many details just yet, there was, obviously the prequels came out. We waited, until 99 to see episode 1. And then, over those 6 years, we got 3 movies, and they were great, and I loved them, but it didn't quite feel like the original Star Wars movies. It kind of was a little bit different. Now, I'm not bashing them, but they were great. It was like a whole new experience. It was kind of like watching a different type of Star Wars, but it still had some of the main, characters, some of the main elements, lightsabers, the music, the sound, all that was great. But it just didn't have that same feel like episode 4, 5, and 6. And when episode 7 came out, Force Awakens, it actually felt to me, it felt like I was watching a Star Wars, an original Star Wars movie. There was a lot of the same characters in it, and maybe that's part of it. You had Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher before she passed. Mark Hamill, a whole bunch of the rest of the cast were there. You had a lot of the same ships. I mean, we're seeing the Falcon again. It was really wild. And it just felt like a great movie. It felt good. It felt real. And that just may have been how I interpreted it. But the thing that got me is that when episode 8 came out, I did not feel that was, in line with what episode 7 had done and left off, or where it had left off. And you had mentioned that you loved it and that you thought it was a great movie. So that's kind of where we got the back and forth action going, and how I became kind of opposed to your thoughts and sentiments on The Force Awakens. And then from there, it just kind of became fun. But if you want to get into detail, I mean, we can pick the movie apart, and I'm all in.
Well, that's why we're on a podcast,
It sounds like both of you guys are saying the exact same thing. It's just that one of you enjoys the fact that it did that, and one of you didn't. That's all. But you're saying the
Yeah.
exact same words. Is that it felt like episode 4 because you say it's a ripoff of 4. So like it's the same words, different interpretation of it. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I completely understand where you're coming from.
Mhm.
Like, does it feel more like the original trilogy? Yeah, because it does have, it's not all, digital technology and the green screen stuff, which I love. I mean, that's, what they were doing technologically at the time. So I have no problem with, the prequels for that reason. So obviously it's going to look different and all that. And that I agree with. The problem that I have with it is that, on a very visceral level, as the movie progressed, I was like, okay, pretty much like after the Falcon comes back and all this stuff, and kind of like the whole Maz's castle thing, like it basically, I started being like, okay, I've seen that. Well, that looks familiar. Okay, this is familiar. This is familiar. And I was just like where's like the original? Okay, sorry, my cat is like deciding to. Hey, Bubba, get out of here, Bubba. Go, Bubba, get. Bubba disagrees with me too, so
Right.
Typical Browns fan.
hey, dude. Well, hey, he's an orange and white tabby, so technically he may be a Bengal fan for all we know. That's why he's trying to interrupt us. But yeah,
Every
it's
now
just-
and then I gotta put something up. Okay.
okay. I give you credit for the Oriole stuff, man. Like that. I mean, they're pretty terrible.
Thanks.
Look at this. Look. Joseph Friend's trying to get in on the troll by space whales. Like, you're going to get banned, Joe, even though you're the one that helped fix my computer problems. I'm going to ban you if you keep doing that to me. So,
Space whales.
oh, God, I hate it.
Hey, going back to the sports thing real quick, man. It takes real skill to only win 19 baseball games a year. So,
See, this is the troll episode. But yeah, so it's like I think
This is where the rubber meets the road.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was like, I mean, it is literally, I've said this before, the only Star Wars movie that I left and I was like, yeah, that was cool. Literally every other movie I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Like, it was like, yeah. Like in this one I was like, yeah, okay. Because I was just, especially after the way they reintroduced the Falcon, which was like the coolest way you could do it. It's not just like, this heroic, the Falcon's back. It's like, no, it was like some piece of crap that they didn't know would fly. And all of a sudden, it's back up and going. Like there was that little bit of doubt that they instilled in your mind. Like it was awesome. And then after that, it was like, okay, well, here comes the Death Star run. And here comes, Obi-Wan's death and all this. So it was just,
I think that was JJ's way of bringing us back in gradually. And that whole thing where they're running, and it's kind of
we don't need that. AJ and Steve, you guys can speak this because we talked about this and you guys made some good points about why we need. And I understand those points, but I'm sorry. It's Star Wars. You don't have to reintroduce Star Wars. It's like, oh, remember this? Yeah, we remember. It's Star Wars. That's why Disney paid $4 billion for it. We don't need a reminder of Han frickin' Solo. He's the greatest character in cinematic history, okay? Like, yeah, Luke Skywalker kind of kicks ass. Princess Leia's awesome. You don't have to spoon feed me the movie I've already seen, okay? And I don't care if it was 1977. You're talking about, like 38 years later, little kids have seen episode 4. You don't need to spoon feed it to people. It's not necessary.
it is if
I
you're
think
trying
you
to
were
make
on the right
money
track.
in 2015 or whatever the hell it was.
No.
They didn't need to sell it to you. They needed to sell it to a whole new group of people to make all that
Exactly.
money off of.
That's exactly right.
AJ?
That's a fair point. Yes, if you had not seen episode 4, you'd think episode 7 was fantastic. It's only
Exactly.
because it rips off another movie. So think of all the people, all the kids that were born and are seeing their first Star Wars movie ever. They don't know it's a ripoff. If anything, they're going to go back and see A New Hope later and be like, oh, this is just like episode 7. And because episode 7 is their first experience, they're going to think that 4 is the ripoff.
Yep.
Yeah. And here's the thing, guys.
Well, that's sacrilege.
Here's the
True,
thing.
but
Look,
it'll happen.
here's the deal. Listen, J.J. Abrams got the assignment of making this movie. It's a big assignment. Probably one of the hugest in his life. Probably, if not the hugest. and he's got to bring in 3 generations. He's got to bring in the people that have seen Star Wars back in the late 70s. He's got to bring in the people that started off with Episode 1 and the end of the 90s, the 99. And then he's got to bring in the new generation that they may have seen them, but they weren't raised on them, that are brand new to Star Wars 2000 or whatever, The Force Awakens. So he's got 3 different genres or whatever to kind of pull it together. And I think he did a great job. I thought the movie was incredible. He was able to tie it all together, and that's hard to do. I mean, you can blast him for this and that, but the truth is it's a great movie, much better than the next one. But it is a great movie.
Don't even get me started on that.
Now, I think you were on the right track with BB-8. I think BB-8 is a perfect example of how you take like something familiar, like we all know Star Wars droids are adorable and everyone loves them, but it was like, oh my God, we've never seen a droid like that before. That's like how you can pay homage to the past without completely ripping it off.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's my thing. And Mark, I mean, you make a good point to where, they have, 3 different, segments of the fan base that they need to pull in. And, I think, Steve, when we talked about this, like you kind of made this a similar point. And, I mean, yeah, they have to bring in like 3 segments of the fan base, but it's like, for those of us that are familiar with Episode 4, I mean, I think you can do that without being like, hey, remember this thing you've already seen? Like, it was just lazy. I mean,
I do agree with that, but at the end of the day, they don't care about us. It's literally to make the money off the new people, because they knew they had ours in their pocket already just for saying, hey, look, there's new Star Wars coming out this year. So they didn't really give a crap. But for all the people that were questioning it because they don't know anything about Star Wars yet, maybe you have to ease them into the shallow end of the pool a little bit first.
All right, so we have a comment here from Joseph Wren. Yes, they spoon-fed you the first film. What did you want? Episode 1.5? All right, Joe, you're going to have to explain that in the comments, because if this is going to be another one of those, it actually ripped off Phantom Menace more than A New Hope arguments, I may send you the link and bring you on live right now to argue that point, because I think that's crap. So I've always thought that argument is crap, and I think
he's talking more about how Episode 1 was like such a departure from the last movie, Return of the Jedi, that they couldn't do it again. They couldn't like go in a completely new direction for Episode 7, because Episode 1 was like hated for being so different from the others.
Yeah. Like Episode 1.
They?
Episode 1, really, in my opinion, the only anchor was Palpatine. And he wasn't even Palpatine. It was Chancellor or whatever. It was Senator. And, so that was kind of the anchor, the glue that kind of stuck us, and pulled us in. And yeah, everything about Episode 1 I love. Don't get me wrong, guys. But it was a whole new world. George Lucas was showing us something very new and very different. But the only thing that really tied us together were like the lightsabers and the Senator, Palpatine. And with this one, with Episode 7, like there was everything. Original characters, the fight in the snow and the trees, the Falcon, the feeling like you're in the Death Star run again, like all that stuff that you mentioned, JT. It just felt like a good movie. I mean, it just felt not only a good movie, but it really felt like it was related to Star Wars and like something from back in the 70s, early 80s. It had that feel to it.
And also, let's not gloss over the fact that JT hates it because of what happened to Han.
Look, man, to your point, Steve, I had a hard time with that. I really did. And, what they did in the last movie, it really kind of helped me out, bringing him back. In fact, when I heard his voice, I was like, yes, thank you. But it was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, nah, seriously? That's how it's going to, Ben's going to do that? Nah. But, yeah, so that's kind of how it happened. And, but yeah.
So Guy Allen is on your side. He says it was tugging at the nostalgia of the hardcore fans while reeling in all the new fans. Thrasher hit the nail on the head.
And I'm liking this guy, Allen. No pun intended.
Okay, but here's the thing. Like, you can tug at the nostalgia without giving you the same damn thing. Like, you know what it was? It was like, people argue about bands that do a greatest hits record where they re-record their old songs. They're like, well, I've already heard. Well, like, wow, just the same songs. Like, that's what this is. It's a re-recorded greatest hits thing, and it's like, well, why don't you just give me like a new record that kicks ass? And instead, all they just gave us the same thing. Like, I think there was enough in there. I've said this before. When you announce that Han, Leia, and Luke are going to be in there, and then you've got Chewbacca in the trailer and stuff like that, and brief shots of the droids, whatever. Anybody who's familiar with Star Wars at all knows that, okay, this is Star Wars. Like, there's going to be that old school stuff in there. So you don't have to rehash that story. You can have them in there in a fresh story. Just having them there is enough nostalgia. Seriously, that's my whole thing about it. Like, I
if
don't think
Starkiller Base was a cube, I don't think so many people would have so many issues with it.
Mark,
seriously though, if it wasn't if they didn't do that scene where they compared it to the Death Star, I really don't think too many people would have. People are stupid. Let's just be honest. The grand scope of things, large groups of people are dumb. And if you didn't give them that on-screen comparison, a lot of people wouldn't even have thought about the damn thing.
Well, I mean, and to your point, Steve, I mean, like, everybody completely just annihilates the line in The Rise of Skywalker. Somehow Palpatine's returned. They're like, oh. And yet those same fans, when they go, no, it's not the Death Star, this is bigger. They're like, yay! Like, that's even worse. Like, no,
right?
it's a bigger ball. Like what? That's even worse. Like, come on.
That's basically what the Empire / First Order has always done. The Death Star didn't work. Let's make a bigger one. Oh crap! They blew that one up too. What if we make one the size of a planet? They'll never shut this down.
Can't
But
do
yet
that
they
one.
They didn't think about Han and Chewbacca going in there with a handful of hand grenades being able to blow the whole goddamn thing up. Now, did they?
Right. Well, I mean, and JJ, okay, real quick, Mark, I'll let you get to your point. But I love The Rise of Skywalker, but J.J. Abrams did it again in The Rise of Skywalker. I've got a new First Order. They are red because they're more evil, like my gods. They are the same but red. Like, seriously, they're just stormtroopers with a couple extra like grooves in the plastic. Like, I mean, come on, like, that's the best you could do.
Well, he did that in the original trilogy too, when he had his Senate guards or whatever the hell they were. They were just guys in red robes.
Well, exactly. Like, it's like,
just
he's
Palpatine's
consistent.
thing,
At
that's
least
all.
he knows what he likes.
Yeah, exactly.
well, this didn't work.
Called branding, Steve.
It's called Lazy Palpatine.
Palpatine's like,
No,
you know what this is missing? Red.
On, Jack.
Oh no, Jack.
Check this out.
Okay.
So the Empire may have been smarter than we think, because they built the Death Star. Rebels figured it out, blew it up. They built us another one, same thing. This time, they're like, well, why don't we take our stuff to a planet and start building from the inside out or outside in, or however they want to work it. And maybe we won't be noticed as quickly, and we can rebuild our empire, the First Order. That's just my thoughts. I don't know exactly how it happened, but maybe instead of taking it and building it out in space where they can be seen and blown up or whatever, now they're going to be a little bit more incognito.
Planets at once.
How is a planet incognito?
Well,
because maybe
think about it. Who's the only group in the galaxy that can blow up a planet?
The Rebel Alliance.
No, the Empire.
Yeah,
the Rebel Alliance
Oh,
can go
okay,
around
all
blowing
right.
up planets.
Yeah.
So
with
if
the
you
Death
don't want
Star.
your planet-killing weapon to be blown up, build it out of a planet.
Yeah, but I think they're going to fly past one that's got a big groove out of it with like a giant circular laser. Go, what the hell is that? Be like, boy, whoa, that's some crazy topography, and just keep going like nothing happens.
There was a giant sign on the outside of it that said "totally not a weaponized planet.
Someone's doing
Signed-
recon, they fly past, they're like,
Signed
can't be
Bill
good.
Weasley.
Yeah.
This is not the planet you're looking for. Move along.
Look at this. Look at this. Scott Luther. The Spice Girls blew up planet Earth in the 90s. Luther, I'm not paying. So Scott is the commissioner of my fantasy football league. I'm not paying next year for that. You just gave me a free season of fantasy football for that. Seriously,
Spice Girls were a planet in the 90s. Have you heard of Spice World?
That's true. Look at that. See, okay, now I'm all right, AJ. All right, seriously, okay. The fact that AJ knows that, okay. AJ's now been removed from the show for a second till he can behave himself.
He got the boot.
So, yeah. So, anyways, oh my gosh, yeah. I just like I say, like I don't know. It just seems so lazy to me. You have all this time to come up with this concept, and the best that you can. And by the way, an open, just like. The world is your oyster to create anything. They basically say, here's Han, Leia, Luke, Chewie, R2, and 3PO. You can do anything you want. I think I'm going to do 2/3 of episode 4. Like, what the hell is that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the best you could come up with? Like,
Something I just realized, though, it's all those things that repeat themselves from episode 4. They're done by the new characters. It's not like it's Luke doing the trench run or Leia sending him off and watching everything. Like Han's off doing his own thing. It's Poe doing the trench run. It's Finn doing his own thing. Like Han never infiltrated much of anything. Like he did that thing in episode 4 where he freed the princess, but that was Luke's idea to begin with.
Mhm.
So most of this is all the new characters doing the old characters' shtick.
yeah.
So it is kind of a good way to mix like old and new.
How is it a mix? We've already seen it. Like, how is that?
Characters?
Who cares?
Look, if it was straight up like the same characters doing the same things, that's an utter rehash. This is at least trying to stray like a little bit away.
No,
Look, I'm
it's
just
a
trying to
cover-
play
it's a-
devil's
it's a-
advocate here. I don't know.
No, it's a cover band. Okay, I sing in a cover band. I would never go out there and go, okay, I'm, Metallica. I'm Alice in Chains. Like, no, your brother, believe me, you're a cover band. Like
You
the-
do
it's
look like Star Killer Base.
I do have a big laser killing weapon in my center, so
Oh.
my belly. That was a belly button
that's
joke.
better than
but
I was
yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
You're never gonna budge off this, John, but just to show the global love, for lack of a better statement, for episode 7 and your dislike of it compared to the love you have for episode 8 and the world's disdain for it. Like, it shows that, like, when they did have, like you said, the world is your oyster thing, and they did go off the beaten path, nobody liked it. But you spoon feed them episode 4, and the thing was the highest grossing movie for God knows. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it didn't break the records, but it was like the biggest Star Wars release ever. So it's like, obviously, going back to the people are stupid thing, people like it when you just give them the same crap over and over again, I guess.
Hey,
Yeah,
you
I
know
would
what,
like to
dude?
say that was just that any tickets would have sold because it was Star Wars, but you don't get to over $1 billion at the box office unless people are going back like 2, 3, 4, I don't know, like UJT 7 times. So
Oh yeah, that one I saw. I think I saw episode 7. It was like 12 times.
This movie's awful. I'm going back for my 11th showing.
Dude, it's
Right.
Star Wars. I mean, it's like,
but after 12, I am done.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Screw it
I,
after 12.
No.
13 is way too much. That's bullshit.
dude,
It's just like Friday the 13th. There's going to be 100 of them one day. They're still going to be great. Even
Thank
way
Okay,
down
I'll
the
buy it
road.
on
Yeah.
Blu-ray, but not the Steelbook.
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, I mean,
They're going
just,
back to VHS.
And you know what? To your point, Thrasher, even the Friday the 13th movies, they weren't all that great. Lord knows Jason on the cruise ship was horrible. Jason in New York City was horrible.
Oh,
But
man.
they still made money, though.
Of course. Look, I think that Star Wars: The Force Awakens is the highest grossing movie domestically ever. I think it has the record. It was at like 900 and some million. Maybe it's over that now. Who knows? But it's a good movie. And if there's, I'm a little bit biased, and I'll tell you why. Friday, it's the movie's getting ready to play, and I got my tickets, this and that and the other, and I'm talking to my brother Chris on the phone. It's Friday morning. He's in Florida. I'm in Maryland, and I'm like, Chris, man, it's too bad we just can't watch this movie together. And he's like, well, maybe I'll just come up there and watch it with you. And I was like, what? I said, for real? Like, you have to work or what? He's like, nah, man, I can do this. So he calls me back in like 20 minutes. He's like, yeah, I'm flying in at like 3 o'clock. I was like, what?
That's awesome.
So on the fly, my brother comes up. I pick him up from the airport, and we all have like a dinner. We go to like Buffalo Wild Wings, me and a bunch of friends, my brother, Chris. And then we go see the movie together. And it was like, so that was kind of special. And maybe that set the night up or set the movie up. But in general, I still think that the movie was good. I didn't have too much about it other than Han, that scene at the end there. I didn't care for that, but that's because I'm partial to Harrison Ford. But the whole movie just felt good to me, and I was so thankful to have been able to watch it. And I just want to throw that plug in there for my brother coming up like on the fly that day.
And there is something to be said about a level of comfortability with the movie too. Yes, they might have took a lot of ideas from episode 4, but just the fact that you could feel comfortable watching the movie, like without having anxiety of what's going to happen next. Like that little bit of comfort kind of makes you enjoy the movie a little bit more too,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like after you've watched it 11 times.
Yeah.
Like, what's Jar Jar going to do next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Being the
I like
comeback
Jar
movie,
Jar, but you just don't know. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say that being the first movie that George Lucas wasn't involved in, they had to convince people that they could still make Star Wars without him.
Yeah.
I just think it was too.
The easiest way is to just go back to his recipe, basically.
I just think that's too safe. I'm sorry. That's not the Lucas way of doing things. I mean, now I will say this, Mark.
I don't know. I had a Twinkie the other day and it was fantastic. And I know it's probably not the original recipe since they went out of business, but damn if I didn't think it was the best Twinkie I ever had.
If you're comparing Star Wars to Twinkies, like not only am I removing you from the feed, I'm removing you from the show permanently. But
Twinkies are good.
Yeah. I'm a fat guy. I concur.
Yep.
Hey, anyone who liked Guitar Hero 3, that was made by non-original creators. So clearly you can continue franchises and do just fine without the originals.
Jeez. I mean, I get where you guys are coming from. And I mean, Mark, I think, you make a very good point about your brother coming up and, doing that surprise trip. Like, AJ and I have talked before about, episode 3 is my favorite Star Wars movie. And a lot of that comes from, that was the first midnight movie that AJ and I did together. And we were like center of the theater. And it was like really the last time that everybody could do the full cosplay thing. And, the lightsabers and everything. It was, the last time you could do that for a Star Wars movie. So, I mean, I completely understand that part of it. Mm-hmm. I will never understand, the laziness of, and maybe not even laziness. I don't know the word, but I'll just bluntly, the lack of balls that it takes to like take on a Star Wars movie and not take a chance. I think that's why I love The Last Jedi so much, because that's a George Lucas way of thinking. That's I've got this monstrous burden, to create something that has this enormous following and people are waiting with bated breath to see this, and I'm going to just do what I feel is cool. Like, I'm not going to worry about what is expected. I'm not going to take the safe route, And to me, that's kind of what the heart of Star Wars is, and J.J. Abrams did not do that. I mean, I prefer the Rise of Skywalker to The Force Awakens, and The Rise of Skywalker is nothing but fan service, and it is goofy in spots, but it works better because at least it's an original story. It's not, well, okay, here's Return to the Jedi all over again. Like, I mean, if you want to say it is because there's a huge battle, the good guys beat the good guys the good guys beat the bad guys at the end. Excuse me. Okay, but the rest of it was at least an original story. And I think I think that's an example of how you could do it. Like, bring back all the familiar stuff, as you guys said, but wrap it in an original story. And they didn't do it. It's like, and I'm sorry, Star Wars is such a world famous property. It's the most famous movie franchise in history. You don't have to reintroduce it, air quotes. I mean, it doesn't need done. It was unnecessary.
I'm gonna
let me ask you.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, you got a question. Go for it, Mark.
No, I'm just gonna say I'm gonna put your mind and your heart at ease. I know you've been battling with this, and I'm gonna set it to you straight. When J.J. Abrams brings in Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, all these original cast members, and they're going to talk about making a Star Wars movie, I don't necessarily know that he's going to go and say, hey, we're going to do this totally new thing that's off the hook and get them to buy into it. He probably needed them to sign off, so to speak, on doing these roles, like the original Princess Leia, the original Han Solo, the original Luke Skywalker. How are they going to mend all that into this new movie, past or post prequels, and get them to sign on and do this? So I'm sure they had to all agree on a script. I don't know how that works, but collectively, this is the movie they came up with, and JJ shot it. But I don't think that if he went off on his own with that original cast, that it would have been as good. It wouldn't have probably felt like the original Han. It wouldn't have felt like the original Luke. It wouldn't have felt like the original Princess Leia. R2 and 3PO. There's different things I think that they needed to bring it in. I think they did a good job. Now, maybe you wanted to see something new, but that's what 1, 2, and 3 are for. You can watch that all the time.
But what you're saying is that those characters can't exist outside of the original trilogy, and that those characters are only popular because of the storyline of the original trilogy, and I completely disagree. I mean that's why they have a solo movie. Han Solo is such a popular character, they could make a standalone movie that which is quote unquote a tank at the box office, but now it's like it's legendary among the fan base to where they're they're thinking about doing an entire series based off of the thing because it's so popular.
Yeah, but it's not Harrison Ford. When you have
doesn't matter, it's the character.
It does matter when you have totally that caliber. Matters. When you have that caliber of actor and actresses in the room agreeing on a script and what you're going to do with a movie, you may, and I'm guessing. I mean, I wasn't in there. I'm just saying that maybe they had to agree on a plot that was similar to episode 4. I'm just saying
it's plausible. I mean, when you're dealing with with actors of that caliber, especially ones that were previously in Star Wars, that could absolutely be a thing where they all sat down and said, yeah, I'm not digging this script, you guys got to do something different.
Yeah,
who the hell knows? I mean, in this day and age, a lot of that shit comes out on the internet, but a lot of it gets hidden behind closed doors too. So I mean, it's possible. Who the hell knows?
They all had to agree. All of them.
As soon as you decided to put the movie within the lifespan of those characters, you had to get those actors to play them. There's no way you could tell a Star Wars story, not involve the characters, and if you're going to involve the characters, there's no way you couldn't cast those actors.
But they don't have to be in the same story. Okay, so David Hill says, I watched it in 3D again the other day. I don't remember how many times I've seen it, but the 3D makes it even better. And I agree on that, by the way. I watch it in 3D VR on my PlayStation.
This is one of my best friends.
It's awesome.
One of my best friends from high school. Actually, you guys met him one time.
Yeah. And he says, how can you not love that movie? I do love the movie. I mean, it's Star Wars. I love it. It's just, it's too much of a rehash. And, to what you guys are saying about having the original actors and actresses and stuff, like, I think that, that it kind of strengthens my point in that because you have them, you don't have to put them in the exact same storylines. You don't have to, remember Han Solo? Well, now he's back as like the savior guy. Like, you don't have to redo everything that they did.
But I don't think he did. I don't think that he did. I think they needed to rekindle the princess and Han Solo. and they did. You know, they had a scene together there, and they talked about things. They talked about their son Ben. There were some real, intimate parts there, personal things, and then there was just a whole lot of dialogue in that movie that just, it kind of, was in relation to what happened in episode 4, 5, and 6. They kind of picked up from there. But I don't think it was the same movie. I don't think it didn't feel like episode 4 to me. I mean, there's a couple scenes in it that might have resembled things from episode 4, but I don't think it was the same movie. I don't think it was a ripoff.
And hell, Han was a complete 180 from the original trilogy. Original trilogy, Han would have been trying to collect his money and get the hell out of there. He never would have confronted Ben on that thing. And
right.
Went and put his own ass on the line, putting the explosives inside there and all that stuff. Like he was other than the jacket, he was.
Yeah.
Well, no, even the jacket was new.
I mean, even that he was back to being Smuggler Han. Like, CMS Podcast Network, which is either Aiken or Toomey, a couple of my really, really good friends. Why did no characters arise from the last 6 movies as dominant as Luke, Leia, Han, Vader, etc.? I mean, and that's the point. Like, they bring these guys back and like they rehash episode 4, which kind of crippled the new characters from the get-go. There was no way that they were going to have these new characters be worth as much as the others, because they're like, oh, remember these guys that you love? Here's the same story too. So you're focused on the nostalgia. And then these other like the people that are supposed to be the new, big 3 or whatever, are almost relegated to background characters in a way, because you're so focused.
If you didn't put original trilogy characters in it, we'd be sitting here 5 years later having discussion how stupid it was not to have any of those characters in the movie. Well, because that's Star Wars fandom as a whole, is you're going to take whatever they give you and you're going to bitch about what they didn't give you. So if they did not give you Leia, Luke, and Han, we would all been sitting here going, why the hell didn't they put those guys in it? And they never said that they died, or where are they? You can't just have these movies without the original cast in it. So you're going to lose either way.
Yeah.
It's like Qui-Gon said, your focus determines your reality. We're busy harping on all the things that are like rehashes from episode 4, but think about all the stuff that wasn't. Like, we saw new force powers. We saw a lightsaber design we never saw before. Kylo Ren in general was just a new thing.
Right, just like the opening scene.
Rey's backstory, Finn's backstory, all these new characters had completely unique origins. Kylo Ren is the only one you could even tie to the original cast at all, just through legacy of, familial ties. But otherwise, they had a completely new cast of characters set up. And we saw ships doing stuff we'd never seen before. The Falcon pulled off tricks we didn't know it had. Like, there's a whole bunch of new stuff in that movie still.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So here's a good question. We got a couple questions. Okay. Jesse Cole says, you guys should brainstorm the new plot that it should have had right now live on air. Okay. Well, here's my idea. Don't make it the Skywalker saga. If you want to tie it to the Skywalkers somehow, that's fine. But when you're talking about something 30 years down the road, maybe don't use those original characters as an anchor. Have them in there as a bridge, and then have it go off into some other thing. You could have it be, a new galactic conflict. But when you tie it to the Skywalker saga, and it has to be like Skywalker centric, that was the whole thing. Like, first of all, they didn't have a cohesive story written before and then split it into 3 parts. And second of all, it kind of painted them into a corner. So
the one thing that always bugged me is the whole, it's a map to Luke Skywalker. I've never seen a map that points to a person. Like, if they want to say that there's some big, like, MacGuffin that they're chasing through the whole thing, and they happen to come across Luke's path, like they did in episode 9, where like Luke was looking for something. This is the last place he went looking for it. Let's pick up the trail. Okay, now you're looking for a thing that Luke Skywalker happens to be involved with. But to say like the galaxy's going to shit, we need Luke Skywalker, no one else can fix it. Come on.
Well, and how about the fact that like with R2, at least they had like a CD drive or some kind of thing that slides nicely into R2. Freaking BB-8 is just like a drawer. Like every time he rolled around, I'm picturing that thing clattering around in there, like making noise. Like, what the hell is that noise? You just hear us clicking and clanking because, I mean, it was like, what is that? Like,
I will say though, like the fact that they had like 98% of the map and that little chunk was missing and they couldn't figure out where the hell he was at. I like to think you could take 98% of the map and at least get a general idea of where to go. But
you know what?
You get that last 2% and they're like, oh shit, there he is.
I actually
There's a
pictured that,
nationwide manhunt for a fugitive. We've got 49 states on the map. Do you think we can canvass that last one without it?
yeah.
They canvassed the whole area except for the island of Ashto, and they went, but that's not on the map, so let's just skip that and go past it.
Yeah.
while Luke is hiding behind like a giant tea leaf or something on the island, so they can't see him.
See, I always pictured that too, like the part they don't have, like the part they do have gets them all the way to Achto, and you see a ship just floating there on this planet that's nothing but water. There's one island, and then they've got the other part, and there's this blank spot, and they're looking like, well, crap, like now where do we go? Like, and they're basically staring at the island like,
he had
damn, like I wonder where the end of this is.
The exact sign that was on Starkiller Base that said this is totally not a weaponry like planet. There was just a sign on Achto that said Luke is totally not on this island.
Right.
and the rest of the rebels were like, he might be. No, he's definitely not there. Why would they put that sign there?
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Check the next island.
But now,
C-3PO wrecked the whole movie anyway. He was the one where, like, wasn't he the one that BB-8 was like, well, what about R2? Maybe R2's got the map. And C-3PO's like, no, stupid.
He's
like,
been in
R2
power
never
down
fired
mode.
up.
See, that's another thing. Like he's been in
R2D2
power
got
down mode.
shafted. Oh God, did he get the shaft?
Like,
How can you not find a part for R2D2 in your movie?
I mean, he's the most important character in Star Wars. Which,
right.
I mean, literally, if you look back, I mean, and by the way, we're going to do that episode. We're going to go through all the movies and explain why R2D2 is the single most important Star Wars character. Our cousin brought that up years ago, and when you really look back at every movie, you're like, oh my God, he really is.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really the Skywalker story, or is it the R2 story?
It's the R2 story, man. It is.
Yeah.
So
He's
all right,
also kind of a dick though, because he always knows more than he's letting on, and people go through a bunch of shit as a result. If he would just tell him what he knew from the start.
Yeah, I really don't think they understood R2 as much as they like to act like they did. Like in episode 4, R2 was just beat bopping all over the place, telling him, "Hey, I know who the hell Vader is," and Luke and all them are just like, yeah, R2, it's totally, it's that thing over there. Yeah, you're right, buddy. Knowing full well they don't understand anything he's saying or Chewbacca or any of that shit. They're just like, go ahead.
all right,
do what you got to do.
So Joseph Friend says, remaking, quote unquote, the first film puts the pressure on the new characters to create something new. The existing characters have to be there if this is a continuation of the Skywalker story. And I mean, I agree with that. And I think that's my issue is that, like, okay, you don't have to continue the Skywalker story, but, remaking the first film does put the pressure on the new characters to create something new. And they did in The Last Jedi. But in, The Force Awakens, they did not. So I'll never understand the hate for The Last Jedi. It's like, I mean, and that's a whole nother topic, but it's, like I would have wanted The Last Jedi as The Force Awakens in terms of something new, something fresh, something, holy crap, this is, I've never seen this before. Like, and
would you have felt better if they would have gave you not so much the story of 7 and 8, but if they would have gave you the full-blown original story as 7, and then with episode 8 kind of went to the well a little bit and made that one more comfortable and remake-ish? Would you have felt better about that?
I don't know. Again, to me, like coming out of the theater after, first of all, when you find out about the Disney sale, what was it, 2012 or 11 or whatever it was?
Something
so you're waiting
like, that,
like 3-4 years. You're like, oh my God, like we thought Star Wars was over. It's back. And then the first thing we get after all this like buildup, not only of Star Wars is back, but oh my God, like all the other plans that they announced that they have, I get something that is basically something I've already seen. I'm like, this is the best that you could do. Like, it almost seemed insulting. It was like, I mean, how dumb do you think we are? Like, and I'll be, I'll say it.
And also, look
if I
at
piss
JJ's
hold on a
track
second.
record too.
If
Of
I
course he was gonna remake something.
if I'm gonna piss a lot of Star Wars fans off, I apologize. But I can't believe this film is so popular, because I'm like, I really didn't think Star Wars fans were that dumb to just go, okay, it's a because I've heard a lot of people say it is a rehash, but I love it. Like, but that's not what Star Wars is about. Like so that's all you want is just like. And it comes up, like with The Last Jedi. That's not what Luke Skywalker would do. He is a superhero. He needs to stop it. Like, are you? I had more faith in Star Wars fans to want something original, something cool that pushes the story forward. Instead, maybe a bunch of people just want rehash crap.
Dude,
if I
you
piss
put on
people
record
off,
as
that's
saying
fine.
like, I just want to see the Millennium Falcon. I want to see Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon kicking ass. Like,
Yeah.
okay, but you've seen that before.
Yeah, okay, but
So-
it's like for 60 seconds a movie. It's not, an hour and a half of a movie. Even Solo itself, like, they have that, but it was to explain how he became a legend, how he got the Falcon. It wasn't just like, within the first 5 minutes, oh, Millennium Falcon's my ship, and then he's just destroying shit in the Millennium Falcon the whole movie. They didn't do that, so that was cool. That was cool. It wasn't like, well, here we're gonna do a whole movie about, how he he's flying around in the asteroid field with Leia and stuff like that, and then he lands on an asteroid, but it's not an asteroid; it's actually a small moon. But wink, wink, it's not the same. Like, no, it's I don't know.
In short answer, John. Short answer, John. Yes, that's exactly what the hell Star Wars fans want. Just go on the internet and scour Facebook message boards and Twitter. That's exactly what Star Wars fans want nowadays. It's exactly it. That's why they hate. That's why they hated Solo. That's why they hate Episode 8. They want the same crap over and over and over again. They complain about Episode 8. Where's our lightsaber battle? But then you get 1 and 9, and they bitch about it. You get a rehashed movie of 4, 7. Broad whatever. They love it, but they hate the original idea of anything. And that's why going to Episode 9, they went to the well again and started doing fan service the whole front and back of the movie.
Yeah.
Like it's exactly what Star Wars fans want. That's kind of the problem.
I apologize for pissing on fellow fans. I know that's a dick move. So
No, it's not when it's true.
Dog
No.
town.
yeah.
You don't have to apologize for truth. I mean, just look at Disney Plus now. Like, people love The Mandalorian because it's during the time frame of 4, 5, and 6. As long as you do something that's around the original trilogy time frame, the whole Star Wars fandom is going to love it automatically. But if you try to give them a new idea, it's
All right, look, real quick. Everyone watched 4, 5, and 6. They loved it, fell in love with it. It became culture. I mean, it's the best movie ever, right? Best franchise, in my opinion. Then they come out, 15 or so years later with 1, 2, and 3. It's still Star Wars, has the same sound. A lot of the stuff still feels the same. It's the lightsaber battles. It's new characters or new actors, but it's still the Skywalker saga. It's when he was a boy and what happens to him growing up.
Mhm.
So now you jump past Episode 6. You're doing the last 3 movies. And the original cast has decided they're going to jump in on this. And they're all older now, whatever, Harrison Ford, what I'm talking about. So with those 6 movies already made, and it's all about Skywalker, they got to make these last 3 still have relevance to Skywalker. And of course, Palpatine, because he's a big part of this whole thing now. But I think that's what they did. Last Jedi confused me a little bit. I'm just being honest. And maybe we can do that on another show. But I think they did great with Episode 7 because they went out on their own with 1, 2, and 3, even though it was still tied with Skywalker, the saga. But now that they got the original cast members, They got these new set of movies. They're kicking it off. I think it just wanted to make it feel like it did 30, 40 years ago. And I don't think it was a ripoff. I don't think he tried to steal anything from the original movies. I just think that they wanted to make a good movie that felt like the original trilogy with the same actors who have all aged, and they all had to agree on it. So, I mean, if you look at it in that retrospect, up until 7, up until 8, I think that that's really how it went. And I can't fault that movie. I can't find anything bad in the movie. I don't like the way Han died, but I can't find anything wrong with the movie.
I
And
agree.
I don't know.
Timing
I
is
don't know
everything.
how you can.
Timing is everything. The reason 7 ended up being such an homage to the original trilogy was because 1, 2, and 3 strayed so far from the formula.
Yes,
Like it was a quote
Right.
return to form, you know? If they
Yeah.
had just come out with if Force Awakens had come out saying like 86 or 87, if they had just like kept on churning out stories, it wouldn't have been nearly as well received because we'd already seen that brand of Star Wars for the last 3 movies.
Right.
But then when it's like, oh my God, I haven't seen a movie like this in 30 years. Now it's fresh, you know, everything old is new again.
There's not a lot of crazy mess going on. CG animals like fighting over. I mean, it wasn't like little aliens flying all around. It was like they brought it down to earth. And me as a Star Wars fan, a real Star Wars fan, JT, really appreciated that.
To put it in musical terms, JT, it's like if Def Leppard had come out with Euphoria immediately after Hysteria.
Which they did.
It was a hit because no, they didn't. They totally
That was
didn't.
the next
Stop it.
record.
No,
Yes,
it
it
wasn't.
was.
It was marketed as the next record, but it was because they put out other records in between, and then they marketed it like it was the next record.
No, unless I'm wrong, the next record was
The marketing
Euphoria.
tagline was "After Hysteria comes Euphoria," and it came out years and years after Hysteria,
No, well, what?
like a decade later.
Adrenalize.
Yeah,
No,
another
no. It was Euphoria. Yeah.
another
Adrenalize.
musical example: Operation
Pour some
Mindcrime 2.
sugar on me.
Sorry.
How many albums were there between Operation Mindcrime and Operation Mindcrime 2?
Okay. That's a whole different thing.
It's marketed as a return to form because they strayed away from the formula. Different kind of truth for Van Halen.
It was a kick-ass record. It was like what should have come after 1984 if Ross stayed in the band.
Yeah. Except he didn't, and we had all this Sammy music in between, but then their whole marketing spin was, remember that thing way back in the day that you liked? Well, here's more of it.
Yeah, but it was different.
It's timing, man. It was better received because there was something different in between. 7 was exactly what it needed to be, I think.
Well, you know, I mean, when you phrase it in that context, I can understand that. You know, I mean, again, I don't think it was necessary because I mean, I get what you're saying is like they basically kind of were like, oh, people, you know, and that's why I think it's kind of a weak mentality because they were like, oh, well, you know, the prequels they sucked and the fans crapped on them, so let's give them what they really like and let's play it safe and give them episode 4 or whatever. You know, it's. I just didn't think they need to do that. I mean, Mark, to your point, you know, you mentioned having the original characters and stuff in there, and you know they got you know they sign off on the story, whatever. I mean, let's be honest, and you know, you say, "Oh, I'm a real Star Wars fan," not you. Like you're joking around. Obviously, we're huge Star Wars fans, both of us, all 4 of us. I mean, as soon as we heard that Han, Luke, and Leia, and 3PO and R2 and Chewie are going to be in the movie, wouldn't you have been okay with like you know? Whatever story they tell, as long as they were true to those characters. I mean, that's my point, is it's like just having them there, you're like, oh dude, like that's awesome. You know, that's cool to have them, you know, it's, you know, like they didn't need to rehash the actual story. Just having them there was enough of a springboard.
I thought that having them in there was incredible. And I thought the interaction between each other was good. Now, the whole thing I didn't care for was the small amount that Luke had to deal with it. I thought that he should have had more, of a role in that movie. But
I thought that was cool.
just at the very end,
Dude, when you tease him and
like they really teased him.
I mean, yeah, you tease Luke Skywalker and then he's in there for like 30 seconds. I'm like, that's great. I mean, I wanted to see more of him too.
Yeah.
But again, to me, that was an original idea. Like that was,
And I was
something
okay
you
with
didn't
that.
expect. Like I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Whereas that's the one thing in that movie that, people hated. They were like, oh, we need more Luke Skywalker. It's like, well,
Yeah,
do we really? Like, or do we need more Rey and Finn and Poe and BB-8 and Kylo Ren and stuff? I mean,
Yeah.
so
I feel
don't
like
know.
they addressed that in The Last Jedi. People miss like how direct that was of a line, but they're like, "What do you think I'm gonna do? Go out there and face down the whole First Order with a laser sword?"
Yeah.
Like that was directly to the fans, going like, "Oh, you thought Luke Skywalker could just go out there and save the day for the entire galaxy?"
Yep. And
Duh.
I love that. It's just
See,
like
and you like that, and again, that's the same thing that the majority of fanboys bitch about, because you had brought it up earlier tonight, John. The whole, oh, Luke wouldn't act like that, because we all personally know Luke apparently, and we know how he acted while in his own 30-year exile on the island and everything. So yeah, we all know exactly how he was going to act after all that time, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I mean, you guys make great points. I just, again, like and it's as again, at its most visceral level, it's the only time I left the theater after Star Wars me being like, yeah, that was pretty cool. Like, and I think what does it to me, like, I wouldn't mind doing that so much if it wasn't this monstrous buildup of, oh my God, Star Wars is back, and oh my God, the original characters are back. And then it was just like, like I think it was just this letdown on all levels for me after this huge, and thank God I saw the movie poster, because I mean, and you guys, AJ, you and Steve will attest this. I mean, Mark, when I saw the movie poster, when they did the big reveal and Starkiller Base was in the middle, I mean, I told them, I was like, please God, don't tell me that the bad guy's super weapon is a giant ball. Like, again, it's a giant ball.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
I was like, really? Like, we've seen that twice already. Like, why is this?
Well, maybe that's why Han said Chewie, we're home. 'Cause he was talking about episode 4, not the Falcon.
Yeah, yeah.
Look, they made good on their damn promise. Okay, in episode 4, they come up on the Death Star and they're like, "You set it for that small moon," and it was a space station. This time, it was a small moon.
That's no moon. Actually, dude. Yeah. Wait. Hold on. I was like,
Yeah.
oh crap. Yeah. Never mind. You're right. That's small moon. Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
good.
Go the other way.
There's an Obi-Wan Force ghost in there, and it goes, "Not this time, boys."
I'm out. See ya. Yeah. I got
Most
this one.
certainly is a small moon. You guys got this. And he fades away.
We just explained Obi-Wan's absence in episode 7.
Lets out an old man creeper on the way out the door, just like that, like as he's walking out the door. Like,
It just smells like old ass and mothballs.
do Force Ghost farts smell different? Are they more regal? Are they, or is it just an actual fart? See, this is a whole nother episode, but I mean, these are the ideas that we get on when we're getting silly. So, but all right. Well, I think on that note, we'll close up shop here. First of all, huge thanks to you, Mark. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Obviously, AJ and I, we love you. It is awesome to hang out with you. Definitely, we'll have to get you on again if you'd like to come on. We appreciate. Yeah, I mean, you were great. I appreciate it very much. Like, thanks for showing off that awesome piece of celebration history back there.
No problem. A little bit more here.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
3-day
pass!
pass.
The pass!
Oh,
Yep, signed by
damn.
Ray Park.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is awesome. The official 3-day lanyard from Celebration 1 with the Ray Park signature.
That's right.
And oh man,
Yeah, that was
that
a
is
good time.
awesome. Yeah. So, are we going to see you in Anaheim next August?
I don't know.
I have
It's
a feeling.
possibility.
I have a feeling that there'll be a hotel room that you might be able to crash in. A little birdie told me.
I'm getting the thumbs up from across the room.
Well, there you go. All right, so the plan has been hatched. So now we just got to figure out how to get you guys tickets. I'm the only one with tickets. So, Steve, are we going to see you?
Oh no. Let's be realistic about that.
You know, it's right next to Disney.
I know.
Oh yeah, I do have to check that place out now. Disneyland, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Steve is an enormous Disney freak, so he does his trips to Disney, whereas AJ and I do Celebration. So
Yeah.
Hey,
But,
can we do a whole podcast of episode 8?
I would love to. You and I would be completely flip flopped.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's pretty much going to be the exact same podcast, except you guys are going to be on the opposite side of the room.
We'll just repost this, but every time I say the Force Awakens, every time we say the Force Awakens, it'll be the Last Jedi. See, whatever. JT, hold on, son. Let me tell you something, Jack. Let me tell you something about the Last Jedi.
Listen up, Jack.
let me tell you about the Last Jedi. They're the worst overdubs ever for all of us. Be like a poorly recorded audiobook. But yeah,
So it'd be like the first half dozen of our podcast.
Right.
yeah, pretty much.
So when they came out with The Rise of Skywalker, you hit the wrong button.
Damn it, soundboard. Yeah. So, all right. So real quick, we do have to address something. And Mark, if you want to be a part of this, you can feel free. Maybe you could be a judge, or if you buy a set, you could play along with us. So for May the 4th, we are going to do a live episode on an off night of Cards Against Star Wars. And Steve and AJ and I have a set. We just need people to judge. So obviously we'll have to show our cards on the screen and be like, people can be like, oh, that one's funniest or whatever. Like we'll read our cards out. But I'm thinking, guys, we should do it on Friday, April 30th. It'll be like a couple days before May 4th. And
I think we could do that.
I mean, if you're available, Mark, if you're available, Steve.
In the evening?
Oh, no. Again, Baltimore, what the hell? This is why Cleveland makes fun of you. No, we're going to get on at like 8 o'clock in the morning on a Friday.
Make sure,
Good Lord. My goodness.
Yeah, I'll bring my set to work with me, and you guys can
yeah.
wait an hour for me to get back to my phone.
I'll be reviewing legal contracts, reading stuff like, Han Solo's rancid butthole, like live on a computer while I'm trying to be on Zoom meetings.
I don't think Mark gets it. Let's get Sarah on instead.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, get the wife on, man. So
yeah. Nope.
Nice. Well, maybe she could be with you as a judge or something. Who knows?
Right.
But, yeah, if you're in, Mark, if you want to play along with us. So yeah, on Friday, April 30th, let's do it. Let's do our Cards Against Humanity as our special, let's get drunk and play cards. Look at this. My buddy Aiken, record it and release it May 4th, dummy. We're trying to do it live, dummy. Okay, so I don't need your input. Okay, I get about 27 listeners a show, Aiken. I don't need to hear from you and your 40,000 downloads a week. Now go away. So before we were so rudely interrupted by a successful podcast. So yeah, let's do it. Friday, April 30th. Let's do some Cards Against Humanity. We will actually be doing a show a couple days before that. We'll do our next podcast. What we will be talking about, we are not sure, but we will figure that out. So we'll get some more promo and details out. But for those of you guys checking out the show, we'll see you on April 30th. Let's drink some beer. Let's sip some bourbon and talk some gross Star Wars stuff. And hopefully YouTube doesn't shut us down. So...
Well, it's not like we get anything from YouTube, so
I know. So,
not yet.
All right. Well, again, Mark, thank you very much for coming on. We love you, man. We appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Thank all of you for tuning into another episode of the Nerfherder Council. You can find us, the audio version, on pretty much anywhere you find your podcasts, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those good places. Just Google us. You'll find us. Download us if you'd like to listen in your car or on your headphones. Don't forget, we are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for a 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. You can get your own customizable Nerfherder Council swag at shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. NHCpodcast.com. And go and check out the Twitter at NHC Podcast. The website is nerfherdercouncil.com. Or just hit us up on Facebook or at nerfherdercouncil@gmail.com. So I am your host, JT at Dog Pound Jedi. He is AJ.
At Drake Adams 579.
He is Steve.
At Nerfherder Steve.
And that other guy is our very, very